we don't get any.
All right, go ahead, G. You ready? Call the meeting to order. Tiffany, please take the roll. Make sure everyone's mics are on. Present.
Councilwoman Workla,
Present.
Councilman McCarthy,
Present.
Councilman Sanders,
Present.
Mayor Sykes.
Present. Let the record reflect that we do have a quorum for Tuesday, August 25th, 2026. We're going to run down to public hearing the city proposed budget for fiscal year 2026 to 2027. Would anybody like to get up and speak for or against it? Public hearing closed. Recognizing persons in the audience, please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. The purpose of this agenda item is to provide an opportunity for members of the public to address city council on matters that are not listed on this current agenda and are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the municipal purview of the city. Comments may not involve personnel matters, legal disputes, or private non-municipal affairs of the constituency. Comments regarding zoning or land issues may only be made during properly noticed public hearings. Would anybody like to get up and speak for 3 minutes? Oh, you don't need to sign in, Sylvia.
Oh, thank you. Okay. My name is Sylvia Nixon, Mayor and City Council people. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to speak today. Originally, I was here to address the e-vehicle situation, but since we had a monsoon on Saturday, I have another issue. So I'm here to address the flooding that takes place on the 300 block of South 10th East. Mine and my neighbors' driveways flood every time there's a massive amount of rain or when the snow is melting in the gutters. This past Saturday, as I was arriving home from the art show at Cold Springs, my neighbor was out with a broom pushing water out of his driveway. My driveway was also flooded, but it had moved through the fence to the yard. The drainage for our street is around the corner at South 11th East, across the street from the high school. I called Public Works for them to bring my neighbor some sandbags, and he was told that the city does not supply sandbags. That is a lie. I have many times called the city to have them deliver sandbags to me. The city employer told the neighbor that our driveways flood because we are in a low spot, but that person had no idea what he's talking about. The way the street is constructed in this block, the west side of the street feeds water across the street to our side. It then jumps the curb at 300 South 10th East, comes down the sidewalk, flooding mine and my neighbor's driveways. I have video of this have been taken for years. My neighbor and I have video of this past storm this past weekend and pictures of the detritus that is left on the sidewalk after the water flows through. If you're interested in seeing the pictures and videos, let me know. Richard Akiti was very aware of this problem when he was head of Public Works and when he was councilman. He told me there was FEMA funds under Snowmageddon and they would fix this road. Evidently, that's not the case. I also heard that from various people that council people said no to this, but I was corrected. But this needs to be fixed. Past road construction projects caused this mess. I have bought speed bumps to put down at the end of my driveway to stop the water, and I am asking the city will come and install them. I cannot put them down myself. I don't have concrete tools and all that stuff. I spent much money over the many years on water retention baffles and blockers, and even though I do have some city sandbags left. Now, I have been communicating with Councilwoman Merkel about this, and she was talking to Chris, and I guess an emergency firm that created the master transportation plan said that South 10th East is not a major traffic flow concern. I beg to differ with you. South 10th East has 4 schools, buses, traffic from the schools. All the trucks going from the places with all the dirt, they're going to the dump. All the people going to the dump, all the buses. It is a very, very busy street. And I would ask all of you to take a slow drive down South 10th, especially from like Jackson down to like Fifth Street and see what bad shape that street is in. Okay. And I would also ask you guys to do town hall meetings. And Mayor, in all respect, Monday at 9 o'clock is not good for me. So yeah, thank you very much.
Loud and clear. Hi, I'm Dara Corvus. I'm speaking on my behalf of myself. I really do hope everyone is keeping an eye on the U.S. news. I know it can get a little overwhelming and a little crazy, especially since a lot of things do not directly impact us. But if you've been paying attention, there's now this like Canada-U.S. feud, and they're focusing on red states. So I just hope you're paying attention to see how that's going to affect um, agriculture, feed, animal life, anything that we usually get for the outdoors, we get from Canada and their matching tariffs. So we'll see how that goes. I hope that you're also taking a look at Wilder. They are having a voter-led initiative to permanently ban flock and other similar cameras. And I think that would be a really good idea on city council and anyone who has a say in it to write something up, because it's becoming very clear that it's a controversial thing and it's against Constitution. Okay. I've been catching up on the Mondays with Mayor, and yeah, I saw that yesterday, 9 a.m. on a Monday. Pretty short notice is not sufficient enough in my head to be a town hall, especially since you're not actually face to face, not face to face, and you're not having any sort of conversation or dialogue. I still feel like even the 3 minutes of conversation here isn't even sufficient enough for me to actually understand where my city council is coming from. It is very strange that we have one city council member who's bringing a lot of questions, and we usually get answers from him. But unfortunately, it raises more questions than answers, and there's a lack of transparency when it comes to speaking with the residents of the people that you serve. So it makes me wonder if there is something that we should really be involved in that we're not actually communicating. I really don't understand why it's hard or not desirable to do a town hall, especially when you serve, Mountain Home and the people within Mountain Home. Because right now, YouTube, you can't comment, Facebook, you can't comment. So it really leaves it open to the rumor mill that we get answers maybe once a month from Mondays with the mayor, or Councilman McCarthy here is doing town halls, which I really appreciate, has definitely answered a lot of my questions that now I'm not pushing for. And I think that's what town halls are for, is to clear it up. And, honestly, you can get residents off your back if you're, truthful and clear and transparent, because from an outside perspective, as someone who is in the military, perception is everything. And it looks like you're hiding something. I'm just pointing that out. Thanks.
Anybody else? Okay. Run down to conflict of interest declaration. Has any has any city council or council member received information pertaining to or otherwise had any contact with any persons regarding any items on the city council agenda? If so, please set forth nature of contact.
Mayor,
Councilman McCarthy.
I received an email from a Mr. Carl Huffaker on regarding old business number 1 on the North 10th East Rehab project. I also received an email from Sylvia Nixon, but I thought it was the 10th, but it's regarding South 10th. So those are the I've received.
Mayor.
Councilwoman Workla.
Same from Carl Huffaker, and I've also spoke with John Cristobal regarding old business number 1.
Mayor,
Councilman Harjo.
also received an email from Carl Huffaker.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders.
it's a complete set. I have one as well from Mr. Huffaker.
Copy that. All right. Moving forward, consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda that needs some more clarification? Or if there's something that you would want to?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders.
I'd like to pull number 6.
Okay,
Mayor,
Councilman McCarthy.
I'd like to pull 10 and 11, please.
With that, council, do I have a motion to pass the consent agenda pulling 6, 10, and 11?
Mayor.
Councilman Harjo.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda, pulling items 6, 10, and 11.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Sanders,
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy,
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla,
Aye.
Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
All right, we're gonna run down to old business number 1. Action item, deliberation decision regarding the award of the 10th Street East Rehabilitation Project to Summit Construction and authorize the mayor to sign the documents.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders,
I move all bids be rejected.
do I have a second?
Second.
It's been seconded. Any further discussion?
Mayor,
Councilman McCarthy.
I definitely have some more discussion about this, so.
Okay. It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman. Oh, I thought you were, that was your discussion. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Tiffany, thank you so much for getting all the bids over. And then also the previous bids from the 6th Street project in the West 5th. I have the bid notes and I guess, Chris, I just have some questions because from the bid notes from the North 10th East Street project, it says, how does the city expect soft spot repairs to be completed? Soft spot assumptions will be requirement of the bidder. Staff advised that there have been no significant issues related to soft spots in the roadway. For the record, has there been any core drilling done or testing to determine about soft spots on that project? Okay. So I find it's without that and some other pieces, I mean, one just has to drive down that road to see that we have some serious sub-base pieces on there. I'm also a little bit frustrated the fact that I see that staff advise a maximum of 4 feet depth of repair. The actual depends on the spot. Well, if we're going down potentially 4 feet, we're getting pretty close to our utility lines. And I think that can also bring into a whole issue of other pieces in that. So, you know, with pipe sweating, if that comes up, we're also talking about compaction. As I'm sure you're well aware, once you unearth that whole sub base and trying to compact it back to the same way it was, it's probably just not going to happen. So looking at the West 5th project, I guess perplexed in the fact of with that project, we had part of the bid of curb and gutter. We had different testing for the sub base. There was testing on the asphalt. I mean, we had all these different pieces in there. I felt that were giving a lot of, I'll say, checks that would help make sure a project just doesn't run over cost because quite frankly, with this information, the soft spots, the maximum depth, the core testing, none of that, I am really worried that this bid that we have for 600 and, oh,
15 change.
yeah, thank you. That are we going to really actually meet that, or are we going to have a lot of changes once they tear up the sub base and everything? Are we going to be adding tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars because we just don't know what's going on with the sub base? So I guess a little bit of a word vomit, but these are the concerns I have. So if, however this goes tonight, I guess I just want to understand why the bid that we had for the North 10th East project, why it was so different from the West 5th project when it came out. And I can show the bidding documents where we actually have slots for curb and gutter testing, all these things where it breaks it out and actually quantifies these things where, quite frankly, I look at this North 10th East and it gives a lot of vagueness.
Okay, you go ahead.
So we spoke in depth
Uh-huh.
last night, and so, and you know the reasoning behind my second, but for the record is as well as that, according to the bid schedule, number 2 for subgrade repair and number 3 for aggregate base replacement, there's no total number there. So even though they have it per unit price, if you don't have a total number that's calculated into the total bid amount, we don't know that total number. Who's going to be responsible for that? Is that going to be on the contractor or is that going to be on the city of Mountain Home, right? And so that's also what I'm looking at is if we can get a more accurate number and who's going to be responsible for that. It says in the language down here that it sounds like it might be, and legal, you need to, sorry, I don't mean to say you need to, but I recommend you look over the verbiage there because it sounds like the city would be responsible for that difference. And again, depending on how much yardage that is, that could be a significant number and on that total bid amount. And the other thing is what is CA, right? And you thought it meant class, what is it?
Class A materials.
Class A materials. But we're asking for a number here, not for what type of material they're using, right? So again, that's why I am not going to approve this bid.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders.
part of the reason for my motion to reject all the bids is that the number one question behind this project has yet to be addressed. And that question is, why is the city paying a contractor to do work that it has the budget, the manpower, and the skills to do on its own and was willing to do on its own when it was first proposed back in May? When everyone tells me the city can do it for less. But we don't have any evidence of that because no one's presented a project that shows those costs for the city to do those items. I
Okay.
think the city should be doing the work we've given them the budget to do when they have the skill and the man hours allocated to do that. And it should not be a factor that is not readily available to everybody. Every project should have a start and a finish. It has a budget to begin with and an accounting for that budget at the end of it.
Copy that.
Not been presented here.
Mayor,
Councilman
So-
McCarthy.
to bring it back, Chris, I had questions on that and they got to go unanswered. Couldn't, please just give it a little.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
per our discussion earlier, my direction was to build a road. Correct?
Correct.
My direction was to only build a road, not curb gutter sidewalk. It was to replace an existing road. So that's what I went out for bid for.
Correct.
My direction also, and maybe I misunderstood this, but my direction also was no city work, no city employees were being involved with that project. If I'm mistaken on that, I apologize. But that was the direction I operated under. That was what I did. That's the way I went forward. I did not use an engineer. I did this on my own. And as we spoke earlier today, if the council and the city is dissatisfied with this, then I agree. Then we should reject it, reject all the bids, go back out. I will build a new RFP. I will bring the RFP to the council for approval prior to going out for bid, and we'll engage it again. I will also tell you, Mayor, that I've had conversations with our street superintendent and our street employees, the few of them that we have. They want to build roads.
Correct.
That is when we did our recent hiring, that was the common theme. I would be happy to build roads. My guys, our street guys, are good at what they do. They can build this road. They can build other roads. You're 100% on track. We should be building roads. This was the direction that I was given, was to go out for a bid. That is what I did.
And then here moving forward, council, the curbing or the approaches, those are like some areas. I'm trying to think of like a good one. What was the latest one? We did
So
one.
even in Tyndall,
Yeah,
even in the
Tyndall,
Tyndall
yeah.
subdivision project, we didn't replace even half of those. And that's a subdivision that was built in the 40s and 50s.
So those are those ones, obviously, the ones that were so, that was just part of the bid package or prop, I guess at the end of the day, the engineered. So I guess my question here moving forward, so we're all on the same page. New RFP, you want it engineered with curb gutter sidewalk, because the sub-base portion, that's an easy ask. That one, we were gonna do the testing on that 10th Street anyways. So that's where the testing portion came in. Some of those not approaches, but the soft spots, it looks like that's where somebody cut into the 10th Street, added a water line, or so on and so forth. Obviously, some of those, definitely whoever put it in didn't probably do the best compaction on that one. But I drove it today again for probably the 10th time. So here moving forward, new RFP. We will send it to council. You guys can put your stuff, your asks and all that good stuff. Do you want it engineered? Mayor, Councilman Harjo.
We've struggled around the topic of engineering in the past, but it's clearly a necessary factor of public infrastructure. Ensuring that professionals in their field, not people who have general knowledge or secondhand knowledge, but professionals in their field get to weigh in on those and make the actual assessment, right? Like, and that's not a knock against our guys.
Oh,
They can build that road
absolutely.
as it is engineered. Full stop.
Absolutely.
Having the engineering is an important factor because those professionals went through every bit of schooling to get to the point where they are the subject matter expert and not somebody getting this secondhand. I would much prefer that we have engineering.
Councilman, with that then. So we've
Yes, sir.
always partnered with Keller's to do the engineered spec. So my ask is that something we bring back to you guys? And if that's the case, then they do the RFP. And then do you want approaches done? Do you want curb, sidewalk, or do you just want the asphalt road and the sub base done? That's my question. So we're all on the same sheet of music.
Mayor,
Councilman Harjo.
the cost, the assumed cost of curb gutter approaches, sidewalk will exponentially increase the cost of this project. If that's the scope that the council wants, just clearly beware that the bid range that we see now is not applicable.
Councilman McCarthy.
Chris, for record, did we use Keller or engineer when we did this North Sixth Street project?
Yes,
Did we do it for the West Fifth project?
we did.
And everything was based off of the Idaho standards for works drawings, right? Okay. So the reason why I bring up the curb and the gutter, because again, when you drive down North 10th, which I'm sure you're aware, there's some curbing in there that is completely broken up. And so what happens is when you come through and mill that road, you have the potential of breaking that up and that curb has to be replaced. Now we're talking change orders. So again, I'm not saying that necessarily, for me at least, it's a whole curb and gutter, but having that cost allowance in there to cover some of those change orders instead of us getting hit with something. Because quite frankly, when you look at the bid again with those soft spots, it's an allowance. That's where they're going to make their money, on allowances, because there's no cap. We had nothing in there. And so my piece of it is, yes, if you want to engineer it because we used it, we're going to use it off of the standards, but there has to be some cap when it comes to the the sub base, because we're talking a mile stretch of road that we have done no core testing or anything on when it comes to the sub base. So we really have no idea. We open up this can of worm, we could have run of cost on this. I mean, like I said, tens of thousands, $100,000. So we went from a $600,000 project to, $3 million in that. And that's what I don't want to see, is something that's coming out of this. So my intent with that RFP, if I'm saying it, is that I want to see it more detailed like we've seen on like the West Fifth project, where it's detailing out your testing specifically for sub base, testing for asphalt, the cost allowances for some of these things like curb and gutter when it's breaking up, all those things, because again, I don't want to see a project go way over cost and then we're stuck with the bill. I feel that this is all coming from this proposed idea. We were going to do the asphalt recycler, which again, that it wasn't going to solve anything except put a Band-Aid on this road. So I'm hoping that this bid was not done just because of a dissatisfaction that we didn't go with the asphalt recycler. That's just something, in my opinion, I don't know, but I hope that we can, moving forward, have a true RFP that is going to detail these things out more in depth so that the taxpayer is not going to get hit with a double or triple cost on this road project.
So then you don't, so I guess my question is the RFP that goes out is for somebody like a Sunrock or somebody to come in and bid it, not our guys to do the job?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders.
we've got to get our story straight. We've got so many terms being kicked around and they're blending into each other. We're taking contract, we're taking bid, and we're taking project, and we're acting as if they're all the same thing. They are not. And that's how we got in this mess in the first place. If you're talking about a contract, you're talking about having somebody come in and give you goods and services you don't have the ability to get yourself. You're talking about a project, you're talking about everything involved in that work. From the time they start doing the engineering until we finally accept it at the tail end. You're going to hear me say this over and over again. If you bring me a contract without the project cost that includes what we're putting into it, I'm not going to work with it. Because it's not telling me how that's going to affect the budget we're getting ready to pass. And without it, you're telling me part of the story, and I refuse to be hoodwinked.
Mayor.
Councilwoman Workla.
So I can see both sides of it. I don't think it's a hoodwink thing. I think it's a miscommunication thing. And Chris, I want to tell you, like, I'll apologize to you because I made such a stink about Railroad Park and in-kind work. But thanks to Councilman Sanders, he clarified that term for us that we were misusing the word in-kind work because you can't do in-kind work within your own organization. However, Railroad Park, in my opinion, is still in-kind work because URA came in on April 9th, I think it was, of 2024 and sold us that they have the project all laid out from A to Z, and this is how it's going to go, and city's not going to need to pay a dime. The taxpayer doesn't have to pay a dime. And then that, we know how that evolved. So to me, that's still in-kind work. So thank you, Councilman Sanders, for clarifying that. We need to stop using in-kind work within our own organization. So I think what you're saying, if I'm picking up correctly, is that the city needs to figure out what we can do within our cost. And then once we have that number figured out, then we go out to bid to see what that residual work and cost will be. Is that what you're saying?
Every time, essentially, yeah. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Sanders.
Essentially, yes. When you take a look at something to be done around your house, you need to replace the sink in the kitchen. You may have the skills to be able to do that, but you don't have the sink. So you're going to go out and spend some money for that sink. But at the same time, you've already got other things at the house, pipe dough, the trap, P-trap left over from something else. You've got material and you've got some labor skill. And for things that don't require, you have to go check. Do I need a plumber for that? Any part of that? No, can I go ahead? But when I get said and done at the end of the day, everything, including my time, is part of that project. If I list it all out and I find out that sink that I bought for who knows how much money, $1, wound up costing almost, in terms of time and material in my house, if I had to go do it all, put it together, $100. But I knew going in, I had to make that estimate. I had to know what I had and then what I needed to go get. Now I'm estimating the cost of the entire project. When I get said and done, how close did I come to my budget? And that's what I'm looking for when projects come in front of this group. We're passing a budget. $750,000 this year sitting in the streets budgets. So if they come to us with a $600,000 bid, are we looking at how much of and they're doing some of their own work? I'll take the first as an example. There were certain works that were specifically excluded in that proposal. There were things the city was going to have to do. Those things, some of them wound up in the next bid that came out. But the city, in my mind, should know what those are and what it was going to cost, what those 45 utility pieces were going to cost. They should know in terms of man hours how long it was going to take to do it. And they should be able to tell us, the overseers of the city's budget, what that project is going to cost in total. That's my expectation.
Council.
So Chris, when we spoke yesterday,
Mhm.
wasn't that kind of how Fifth Street was done?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. City did what they could do, is budget for what they could
Exactly.
do, and then what they couldn't do, then that's what you bid out, right? So it's not like we have a history of doing it incorrectly or in the wrong order of operations.
Correct.
Because of, I think, what was delivered like the part. I just think there was an assumption there, or we just need better communication, right? And so then you're like, let's do the RFP, let's bid it out, and this is what we got. And then there was a lot of questions and holes in this as well. And so I think rebidding this is smart, but then like what Councilman Sanders said, that maybe let's look at what we can do as a city first and then,
Tracking.
Mayor,
Yeah.
Councilman Harjo.
that highlights the importance of having the engineering firm address this from the beginning. Allocating the funds appropriately for the engineering firm to define what the roadway needs before you lift a finger on an RFP or determining if the cost is more beneficial for city staff to be doing this, or if it's the desire of the council to go out for RFP from contractor for those services. But the first step in this is the engineering.
So then that will be the first thing that comes back to this body is the engineering portion of it. We'll go get a cost estimate from Keller.
Yep.
Get that on the agenda. If you guys are copacetic with that, that'll be the next process, and then they'll do the RFP. We will tell them what we can do in-house, whether it's the 45 pieces, maybe the sub base. They're very good at sub base. I'll tell you, our guys are probably, I would say, the best in the biz at sub base. So if that's what we have to do, if we have to grind out, we don't have the very large load or a grinder. It's, it's for soft spots, right? But we can tell you what we can do with that one. We can tell you what we can do. Now, obviously, we don't have an asphalt machine, so that will be contracted out, but we'll get all that to you guys. Does that sound copacetic?
Mayor.
Yeah.
I also want to,
Council.
thank you, sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
I also want to clarify too that you told me yesterday on the phone that, just for it's on record, there will be no millings that will be reused into the soft spot.
Correct. The millings, we would recycle. Other projects that we do, like I used the example of the airport, the entrance out there, we use the millings in that to restore it.
Okay, Councilman.
Last question, Chris. For the projects that I've already brought, West Fifth and then the Sixth Street, what did the city do on those projects?
So we did soft spot repairs, we did all the raising and lower, all the utilities, we did all the traffic control on all those projects.
Paint.
We did this, well, we didn't do the striping in the Tyndall subdivision, but we did it on Sixth and the rest of those. We did all the striping for those. So we do all those things, scope of capability.
Okay, council, there's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing no question, Councilman McCarthy.
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla.
Aye.
Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
Councilman Sanders.
Aye.
Okay, run down to old business number 2, action item deliberation decision regarding airport fees. Council, what do you want to do?
Question on this.
Mhm.
So I understand these are the fees that we need to vote on, but in our discussion at our last city council meeting, I believe in the motion that was passed is that also that Civil Air Patrol would get their, I'm trying to
Tie
say-
downs.
tie downs, thank you, waived.
Yes.
Is that also in a?
Mayor. Do you mind if
Go
I
ahead.
jump in? So the direction that I was given out of the last city council meeting
Mhm.
was to go back to the drawing table and reassess the fees because the body did not want to do the fees based on the propulsion type.
Mhm.
That was the direction I was given. All this document does
Mm.
is it gives you examples of what other airports within our region, and I had to actually expand out pretty big.
Mhm.
And I gave you every possible way that you can charge tie down fees based on examples from our area. And then I gave you ranges on this. I brought this to you so that you could tell me what type of charge you want to do. If it's a weight based, if it's propulsion based, I gave you all examples. I'm asking you to tell me what you want to charge, how you want to charge it. Then I will go back and do the resolution
Mhm.
and it will have the Civil Air Patrol waive in it. This is just the first step.
But there was a,
But yeah,
And I understand that,
Yeah.
that wouldn't be reflected in
Yeah,
here.
it-
I just want that to be clarified.
it
that
is
that's what the
absolutely.
direction.
It's
Okay.
on the draft that we're working.
Coach. Are you done? Sorry. Councilman McCarthy.
Chris, thank you for the research on this and expanding out. I guess I'm curious to see in your research that you did, can you give a rough estimate of what it kind of leans more towards? Was it weight based or was it the option 2 that you had, space rate?
So
Is it kind of a mix?
if you jump on ChatGPT, sorry, Mayor, but if you jump on ChatGPT, the method that we use for propulsion is the most common. Yeah, the way we currently do it is the most commonly used.
So the current one we
Yep.
do.
Mayor,
Which flavor? Oh, go ahead, Councilman Harjo.
just to harken back to the conversation we had at the last meeting about this, and there's a factor of what time goes into understanding what, if we were going to say go with the weight based model, who is actually physically going out there and understanding that like this particular aircraft weighs this much per its manufacturer's spec plus fuel versus who's going to go out with a tape measure and either measure the shadow space at 12 noon at Syene or go out and say, well, the general area of tip to tail. Whereas under the current method and what discussed last time and what I brought up was that in the majority of these non-towered airports, that the staffing is kind of driven as such that you can identify at a distance what propulsion type that aerial vehicle has, and it's easy to assess those fees with very small headcount, and we have very small headcount at one. So there's that as the factor that I'd like to reiterate.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders.
along those lines, if we've got somebody who can visually verify the type of propulsion used on an aircraft, it would seem we would also have someone who would be going out and assigning the tie downs and the number of tie down spaces that'd be required. So I see those two as analogous in terms of staffing requirement. I might be wrong in that, but if I can be there to see what kind of engine's on it, I'm certainly going to be there to assign it to a tie down position and know how much space it took. So, I'm still in a little bit in the air about that. I know that, or I believe that size matters in this regard. Especially when it comes with small airports, they tend to get more of the experimental airframes, different types. You can have some that are quite large that they need a tie down space would take the space we would normally reserve for 2 or 3 smaller aircraft just because of their unique design. If they take up 10% of our tie down space for a couple of days, that space is we may be losing elsewhere if we're doing it just off propulsion. So I think there's pros and cons both ways. But I know the one thing we won't be getting any changes in the next up 10 years unless we find a way to put it in is the space to tie them down. That's going to be finite. That's what it is right now. Unless we build a new apron for tie downs, we've only got so many spaces.
Councilman Harjo.
I guess question for my fellow council members. Has anybody reached out to Tom Hogue, our airport manager, about this topic specifically to get the boots on the ground opinion as the professional that we hired to do this?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders.
I'll say I have not.
Council.
I did. And he very much was in favor of the current model by propulsion type.
All right, council. What do you, which one are y'all leaning towards?
Mayor,
Councilman Harjo.
I'm gonna trust our airport manager's position on this, and say that we hire him for his special knowledge in aviation. What he and Public Works here presented originally was the logical choice for our airport.
Is that a motion? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
It was not a motion, but I'll go ahead and make that a motion. And make the motion that the city adopt its current model of propulsion type and the fees as proposed.
Do I have a second?
Mr. Mayor, I'll second.
Further discussion?
Mayor,
Sanders?
well, everybody's raising their eyebrows, wondering why I'm talking about using space as the guide and yet seconding a motion that would not be for that type. I will simply remind my fellow council members and the folks in the audience that sometimes it's better to take the information from the boots on the ground instead of from the upper echelon unless it's proven otherwise. Second thing I'll mention is this isn't written in stone, it's being written on paper. If we find 6 months or a year from now that that's not what we need, we have the mechanisms to make that adjustment.
Councilwoman Workla?
Councilman Harjo, you're completely correct about like, we didn't go and ask him. I also have an expectation of if I have if something's on the agenda and it's public work related, he's here to answer it. If it's golf course related, I expect the pro to be here to answer it. If it's police related, our chief is here to answer it. Or explain why we should make a decision based on the expertise. That's all I'm gonna say.
Mayor, do you mind if I jump in really quick?
Go ahead.
Mr. Hoag was going to be here tonight. He called me at 4 o'clock. He's got a firefighting aircraft that he's refueling currently. So
Um, trying to get my thoughts. There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Sanders,
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy,
Nay.
Councilwoman Workla,
Nay.
Councilman Harjo?
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. We'll run down to new business, number 1, items removed. The first one is consent agenda number 6. And that's the authorize the Parks Department capital outlay purchase to and allocate to complete the bleacher project off this park. And Councilman Sanders, the floor is yours.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Mr. Curtis, I guess you're speaking for Parks this evening? No?
negative.
Do we have a representative?
I think I'll take a stab at it. And then if I can't do it, I know there's a person probably more qualified than I, but I'll try to take a stab at it.
They pull up the, if you follow the conversations we've had so far this evening, probably understand that what I'm about to say is, again, I'm looking at being asked to approve a project. But the only cost I have in front of me is the cost of the contract. There are some specific things that are not covered in that document, which included site prep. So I'm asking, is there any site prep going to be required for this?
No, correct me if I'm wrong, the current bleachers that are there, they'll get moved out. There's already current concrete for the bleachers there.
I thought this was an extension of existing.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
on the southwestern side of the arena, there's a set of old bleachers that aren't compliant that we inherited from the school district a decade or so ago. Those would be removed and these would replace those. And the park staff will be building them. So you're just purchasing the material, park staff will build them and they'll be set on the concrete slabs that already exist today.
So the project cost is going to include the time of the parks employees to build it.
Mayor. You know, a second.
Councilman Sanders, yes, that is what I said.
One other comment on the proposal as it was presented. That is the funniest looking set of bleachers in that photograph I've ever seen.
Wait, put something in there.
There and there.
Oh, we put a we put the playground in there, not the.
Well, they don't.
But that's right,
No.
you include the specification drawings from
Right here.
the company and
No, it's part of his.
I
calculation.
know.
He's- He sells playground equipment as well.
Councilman Harjo.
This is a continuation of the same style of aluminum bleachers that we already have. Be the southeast corner
Thank
of
you.
the
I was trying to go directional. Yeah, I
no,
guess.
no, you're right. You're right. On the southwest corner is the antiquated stuff that is out of code. Also, this isn't a contract. This is a purchase. We pay city staff, Parks Department to work on parks. That's higher than before. So the assembly of this is in their standard core of duties.
Absolutely.
All right, council. With that one, Councilman McCarthy.
Sorry, one more question. Do we have an idea of what, so we're purchasing it, what the timeline would be for assembly?
Here,
Go ahead, Jeff.
I'm gonna take a stab at it. I'm gonna assume it's a winter project.
All right,
Mayor,
Councilman Harjo.
make a motion to approve action item number 6, authorizing Parks Department capital outlay purchase and allocation to complete the bleacher project at Optimus Park.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla.
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy.
Aye.
Councilman Sanders.
Aye.
All right, we'll run down to consent agenda number 10. Approve addendum number 1 for water rate study with Clearwater Financial and authorize mayor to sign. Councilman McCarthy, the floor is yours.
Have these, I'd like to pass to council and some staff. Chris, if you'd like a copy. Appreciate the update on the water study that we first approved, and Chris coming back with the wastewater. I guess I'm concerned that when I'm going through the packet, I see anything that's talking about impact fees and that. However, I don't see anything talking about hookup fees, like our current availability when it comes to this letter from Keller and Associates I have from my time on DIFAC. And so I want to bring this up because I feel if we're going to be doing a rate study with impact fees and that as well, we should also be taking Keller's Associates professional letter here that talks about how we haven't had a connection fee analysis done as well. So,
Here,
go ahead, Tiffany.
I'm
please.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Mayor, council, just, I don't know if I'm loud enough, sorry. We actually, as staff, are going to recommend a connection study as well, for each of the utilities. However, it's an additional cost, and the task that was given to staff through budgeting was just the rate studies. And it was specifically the water, but as staff dialogued further, it would be wise to do both water and wastewater. So that's why we've recommended both water and wastewater. And absolutely, we have the estimates from Clearwater to do connections at the very next meeting, if that's the direction in which council would like to go for both water and wastewater utilities.
Councilman McCarthy.
And I appreciate that, Tiffany. The point being though, again, when I'm seeing in the letter that it's talking about impact fees, it's kind of the same logic that you're applying there of if we're doing water, we should be doing wastewater. If we're talking impact fees, and we have a letter from Keller and Associates talking about concerns about our current availability fees, to me, it makes sense that we should probably address that all together. So that's why I asked those addendas or those items be pulled to have those included, especially if we're going to be doing impact fees. You'll notice that Keller and Associates in their letter talks very much about legal precedents when it comes to these hookup fees, or also known as availability fees. So again, as I a whole 100% agree with staff when it comes to bang for your buck. If we're going to put all these together, I think we should be looking at it as one whole and including these connection fees as well. So,
Mayor,
Councilman Harjo.
I think it's important to also remember that we have the impact fee study underway in parallel to this, slightly ahead in timeline from Tischler by Scalina, that is going to address the impact fees portion, whereas this referencing impact fees, the impact fee study is dealing with the particulars of the capital improvement plan. This is looking at the at the capital improvement funding strategy as impact fees dovetail into all other factors of revenue. The impact fee study itself is not covering what this covers. This is likely going to rely on our impact fee study in and of itself to determine what that revenue stream from that looks like and how it applies in the grand scheme of capital improvement funding strategy.
Mayor,
Councilman McCarthy.
if I recall correctly, when we did Tisler, we're only doing impact fee study for fire, police, streets, and police right now. So we only looked at the four. So we don't haven't even necessarily entertained, well, I won't say entertained. There's been some discussion on the impact fees and wastewater. But again, we already have a letter from Keller and Associates, who we've paid a lot of money to in the long scheme of the last 10 years, where they're talking about their connection fee analysis was done over 20 years ago, according to them, with an update over 10 years ago. Again, I think why not throw this in if we're talking about water and wastewater, the rates and that. It's already in our study with the proposed study for the water rate study and the wastewater. So again, I think it's one of those, if we're going to take this at a whole approach and looking at it completely, why not do it while we're here? So.
Mayor.
Councilwoman Workla.
So would we, if that's the case, and we decide to go that way, would we have to deny this, or would we amend and add that to?
No, Mayor.
Go ahead, Tiff.
Clearwater Financial to do the connection fee studies is around 20,000 individually. And if we do the both utilities, it's 17,000 each. And so we would just bring back, well, you could approve these so we can move forward with the rate studies, and we could bring back the connections in the next meeting in September. And to answer Councilman McCarthy's question, Clearwater Financial actually does impact fees for several other municipalities throughout the state. So they may be able to, we may be able to lean on them and see if our methodology is right, or if we should lean towards impact fees while they're doing the connection study. So those addendums would come back to you, if that all made sense.
And
Go ahead,
we meet
Chris.
with them well, and we meet with them this Thursday, so
Yeah, we
we
meet
can
with them.
address it immediately.
So we need direction. Yes, council,
Mayor,
Councilman Harjo.
I think while we're baking the cake, we might as well.
Mayor,
Councilman McCarthy.
I would say, again, that direction is what I would hope or for, because again, what this letter we have from Keller, there is specific language that they're using here about legal precedents and how it can potentially, our current connection fee methodology might not be significantly legal or meet that legal suspicion. So legal can probably take a look at that letter, but I think let's go forward and get ourselves in compliance.
Okay, so we'll bring back that to the next council meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the number 10 on the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders,
I move to approve to approve the addendum number 1 for the wastewater rate study with Clearwater Financial and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion?
Mayor,
Councilwoman Workla?
do we need to clarify in that motion that we're going to then add the,
No.
No, I'll just bring it. We'll
you
put,
will bring that
yep.
back?
I have it written down right here. Hook. Yep. Any further discussion? I'm sorry. Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilwoman Workla?
Aye.
Councilman Harjo?
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy?
Aye.
Councilman Sanders?
Aye.
Right, run down to number 11. Councilman McCarthy, same?
Mayor, I'll make a motion with the understanding that this is coming back, or an additional is coming back. I'll make a motion to approve addendum number 2 for a wastewater rate study with Clearwater Financial and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Sanders?
Aye.
Councilman Harjo?
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla?
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy?
Aye.
Run down to action item number 2, deliberation decision to adopt a tentative FY 27 budget. Council,
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders,
I move we adopt the tentative FY 27 budget.
Second.
it's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman McCarthy,
Aye.
Councilman Sanders,
Aye.
Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla.
Aye.
Run down to new business action item number 3, deliberation decision to certify the L2 for the FY27 budget and authorize the treasurer to sign.
Mayor,
Councilman Harjo,
make a motion to approve the certification of L2 for FY27. Authorized treasurer to sign.
second.
So,
Mr. Mayor, I'll second for the purpose of discussion.
Been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders?
just so that everybody has the same understanding, please explain, recertify, what L2 is. Just so we all have that common understanding. What is L2 is referenced here?
Levy rate.
Okay.
Calculation,
Get that from the
county.
county.
Mayor,
Councilman,
the way to understand this document, the net taxable market value is everything within corporate boundary. The total net incremental value of what the valuation has increased over that entire inventory. And then below that in the levy calculation area, the levy rate per the general fund, street oiling, cemetery, recreation, library, airport, and all other funds is broken out at the levy rate, and the balance to be levied, that total there gets divided amongst the valuation of the total property and multiplied by the levy rate. That gives us the 8.871960 in total taxation levied based on FY26 numbers, projecting for FY27.
all right, it's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion?
Mayor,
Councilman McCarthy?
Chris, I just have a quick question. I know this kind of going around the budget, but we had asked about keeping the water operator position for next year, but we were taking out the funding for it. I noticed that we're advertising to hire for that currently.
Negative. That is not what we're hiring for. We
think
had
that's
one of
on-
our street
Order how
employees.
to
Hang on.
apply to
Yeah,
L2.
we're on the number 3, the L2 let's just stay on that and we can get that into final comments, please. Any further discussion?
Mayor,
Councilwoman Workla?
legal, was that really a point of order? I
Stay
think,
on topic.
yeah, but I think was it driving,
Just a question since we're on the FY27 budget.
would that,
itself.
with mayor, would that
Councilwoman?
influence your vote?
Just was a question to ask, so.
Happy to answer. It's an easy answer.
Answer it.
So we had one of our current employees in the water department resign. That job listing is to fill that current position. We are not attempting to fill the one that you did not fund.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate your willingness to answer.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, it's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Harjo?
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla?
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy?
Aye.
Councilman Sanders?
Aye.
Run down to new business number 4, action item deliberation decision regarding proposed resolution 25 26 or sorry, 2026 R establishing a policy on tournament and pro shop credit.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders?
who would like to try to field a couple of questions?
We can sure try.
They're actually pretty simple ones. First, thank you. I don't know how many minds or how many keystrokes may have been used to generate this document. It is probably one of the most comprehensive I've seen. So kudos to everybody that got involved with that. But it drives me to ask 2 questions. And one of them, I would have loved to have had Paula here to answer, but I know you'll give it your best shot, Tiffany.
Shooting. Let's do it.
This document currently has all credits expiring on December 31st. Would it be simpler in our world, not the golf world? Would it be simpler to have this match with our fiscal year bookkeeping?
Mayor.
So I'll answer that one. We discussed that for our bookkeeping purposes. And so we kind of threw that out there and we said, you know what, let's throw it in there as December. We'll let the council decide, but go ahead, Tiff.
Mayor, Council, Paula and I had a little bit of dialogue on it too as well. Considering we have a lot that happens at year end of our fiscal year already, if the credits continued until the end of the calendar year in the books of the golf course, that would only be one thing that we have to then do accounting wise at that point as we're wrapping up our audit season. So we think it's manageable. If it's not and we don't like it, we can always bring the resolution back and amend it if needed and let notice be to the people who have it in the system. So
Reason I bring this up, I'm hoping for the best. And in hoping for the best, it means that revenues from tournaments wind up being a significant enough figure that we are looking at having credits left that need to be, according to this policy, expended in a fiscal year where they were not earned.
and that was one of our concerns is some tournaments run into September. And so if you're a first weekend in September, get a tournament credit, you have to liquidate that by September 30th, which could be difficult.
I know from
So-
the golfers side, there's some of them, and I was one back when it was done previous ways, and credits could be extended to the end of a calendar year. There was one year I saved up credits all year long to buy a new set of clubs in Christmas time for myself. I understand the golfers' desire to have it go that far. My concern is that are we going to be able to have the accuracy in our bookkeeping, and is it going to change how we approach budgeting next year if this thing takes off and flies like we hope it will?
I agree with that because if it goes gangbusters, you'll always be guesstimating,
You're just,
you know what I mean?
it's just, and it's one quarter
Right.
ultimately, but it's,
Been the practice though, that when a particular fund has excess at the end of the fiscal year, it goes into the general next year. And this is supposed to be dedicated money going back into that shop because it's got to pay for itself, the way we have it set up.
Mayor,
and all
that's
suggestions.
cash carryover per the department though.
But we've never had cash carryover that was, I'm sorry,
No,
my apologies, Mayor. My
Yeah, sorry.
apologies.
Travel.
Try to be,
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders.
in my naivete, I was of the impression that at the end of the fiscal year, there may be cash carry forward, but on a line item like that, it's reverted back to general fund unless it's reallocated.
Budget, you'd have to reallocate for, yeah, correct. And I see where both sides are going.
I just know if it works for you, Tiffany, it works for Paula, fine. I just wanted to make sure that had been discussed and considered.
To be honest, Mayor, Council will do whatever the direction of the council is.
Okay.
So if it's September 30th, that's what staff's gonna do. We're gonna do, so.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'll have one more question on this.
You're good to go.
In reading through this, it wasn't clear for me, and that, Paul will tell you, that has to take some doing. But it wasn't clear to me if it was the intent of this document to preclude anyone wanting to come in and bring a tournament into us if they were going to be forced to use only the golf course for their prizes. They had to bring all the money into the course, or like many of these tournaments are starting to do now, they're starting to have gifts that are given out as prizes from other sponsors. So my concern is here, is there anything in this document you foresee that's going to prohibit someone who's wanting to bring in a tournament from bringing in additional prizes or taking some of their tournament revenues and applying them as they see fit outside of our pro shop?
No, I think they were pretty spot on with that because I think the best kind of analogy of it is the St. Luke's tournament. They brought in
Yeah.
tens of thousands of dollars worth of baskets and stuff. So yeah, but unless you find it in there, I didn't read it in there.
Well, I didn't see anything that allowed it or specifically excluded it. So hence the question.
Mayor,
Go ahead, Jeff.
sorry to interrupt, Councilman Sanders. Our focus with the resolution was to have internal policy on just the credit alone within the building. So if you are hosting a tournament and want to use the credit books in the system, we have a policy and guideline to follow. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Councilman McCarthy.
This been presented to the Golf Advisory Committee?
This has not.
No, it couldn't. They didn't have a quorum.
No. Now that we do, I would think it would be beneficial to be sending it to them for any thoughts or feedback.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
time's kind of of the essence. We have 1,100 in the books and people want to know what's happening with their money. So, just so council.
And
knows.
remember, this is a resolution, as Councilman Sanders said, it's not set in stone. It's on paper and we can modify it. So we'll send this to the Golf Advisory Board, see if they have some tweaks or edits, and they can also grab those and we'll put it on the next agenda. Or I guess it won't be the next one.
No,
It'd be the following one.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
to be frank, it's a policy for how we staff
Touche, yeah.
do the work to follow the guidelines. So,
Mayor,
Councilwoman Workla.
I move to approve proposed resolution 25-2020R. Stand by. 25-2026R, establishing a policy on tournament pro shop credit.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilwoman Workla.
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy.
I'm gonna vote aye only because it's gonna go back to them, to the Golf Advisory Committee for edits and that, so.
Councilman Sanders.
Aye.
Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
All right. Run down to ordinances. An action item, ordinance 1824, adopting the fiscal year 2026 to 2027 FY27 budget.
Mayor.
Councilman Harjo.
Make a motion to suspend the three reading rule on this ordinance and read the ordinance by title only.
Second.
It's going on the meeting tonight.
Second. Something got me.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
Councilman Sanders.
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla.
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy.
Aye.
Tiff, please read the ordinance.
ordinance 1824, an ordinance entitled the Annual Appropriation Ordinance for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2026, appropriating the sum of $62,852,897 to defer the expense and liabilities of, or defray, excuse me, the expense and liabilities of the city of Mountain Home for said fiscal year and providing an effective date.
Council, you've heard this ordinance read. Do you wish it to
Thanks,
pass?
Paul.
Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
McCarthy.
Aye.
Councilman Sanders.
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla. Okay. Run down to final comments. The only thing I got is council. I have a business here in town that needs a C of O. They have a landscape change that they need to bring to council. So I'm just kind of curious if, what your thoughts are on that business. They're the, it just escaped me. What's, they have to, to provide a new landscape design for council. And so right now, I just kind of want to know your thoughts on, like I said, we're going to give them a temporary C of O so they can get going. They can start, he's got to do something with the bank. I just kind of know where you're at with the landscape stuff. I mean, are you like, obviously Xeriscape is good. We did, what was the other one over there? Was also over there that we did, like Dryscape, Xeriscape. Priest was over there that did that one. But we've been doing a lot of, obviously it'll come back, but I just want to let you guys know that we're just going to give them a temporary for right now. It's got to come back to you guys if they do a proposed change. Cause I just want to know what kind of like, just let you guys know. Go ahead.
I'm happy to see it come back. If all parties are involved, adjacent properties, property owners, if nobody wants to have landscaping, then why, right? And I'm all about xeriscaping if we can, so.
And it'll come back if there's a huge material change, but if the staff and the business owner can come to agreement that it fits all the rules of the ordinance, then it probably won't come back, but just in case, I just want to let you guys know. Councilman McCarthy.
I would be always open to hearing from anyone that we've had in the past, some, I'll say, private property owners coming through with some qualms that they wanted this council to hear. So I would say that I am always open to hearing anyone that would like to come and discuss, especially if they're, sounds like butting heads or something, or there's questions of ordinances and
Perfect. That's all I had, council.
There.
Council one.
Two things. So there was a comment today about flock cameras, and I've been getting a lot of phone calls and emails. And by the way, even though I don't do a town hall, my emails blow up, and you guys can email or call me anytime, and I will answer, guaranteed. But with all the communication I'm getting about flock cameras, did a little research with our current legal, Jeff Schroeder, and he gave me some insight that hopefully this will be addressed at the legislative level. And if it does get passed at the legislative level to ban flock cameras, if there's any holes in that, then to bring it back to city council, we can bring it back to us and we can address those holes. But because I've been getting so many texts and phone calls and emails about it, I just want to make that statement. And then I'm gonna also read an email here. It's kind of like a public service announcement, if you want to call it that. So in order to restore the fountain in Railroad Park, with permission of the city, I'm asking if there is a qualified stonemason willing to donate their time and materials to repair or reconstruct the rock foundation to preserve it for future generations. So interested persons should submit qualifications and detailed proposals, including drawings and plans for repairs or reconstruction, so that the integrity of the original structure can be maintained and the city can have accurate records of the work done going forward. So with the generous support of this, we can continue preserving a piece of Mountain Home's history. With that being said, if I also have had a comment where someone said, why doesn't the city just come in and do it? Everything that guides our decision on how we spend money is off our budget book. And there is no GL line that says we can go in, we don't have a restoration, right, for historical sites or anything like that, where we can just go and say, yeah, let's fund it, let's pull money from that. So if anyone's willing to donate their time and resources, I know that that is a precious piece of Mountain Home history out there. It's actually pretty cool. Yeah, if any Masons want to come in and do that, just submit their plan to City Hall so we can at least kind of see what the idea is. And then mayor, council, legal has given the green light to say, go for it. Thank you.
Councilman Harjo? Well, thank you for that. It's a fantastic idea. At some point, there was a discussion about some potential, is it grants that can be applied for to help fund whatever that project is? I mean, obviously that's outside the scope of our budget, but there are potentials for, for those. I want to say Kathy's. That you were working on coordinating with some of that. Sure. So there may be some opportunity outside of our budget that we just passed. But to preserve that would be fantastic. And I'll be in support of saving that as a site. Thank you.
Mayor.
Councilman.
I have two. We've received few emails regarding e-scooters, e-bikes. I know you had brought that up about bringing some language from legal about an ordinance. I wanted to ask where we're at, especially since I continually get emails. I mean, I was just walking up here tonight and had an e-scooter behind me on the sidewalk, so I would like to ask where we're at.
Was it my son?
I wasn't gonna, no. So I wanted to ask where we are, where timeline, where something that this council can discuss.
Well, I gave you both ordinances I got from Garden City and Boise, and Napa's take a little longer than there was going to have some specific language. So I brought you those two because both cities have worked on theirs quite in depth, I should say. But they also have the green belt over there, so they had to get theirs done sooner than later. But we could take those, we could put on the next agenda, and if you guys want to start discussing sooner rather than later, I know it's like I said, there's a lot of people that are. I even get them too, so that must be something that's really got to everyone. So yeah, we can put it on the next agenda.
Perfect. The last thing I have, so I had a constituent reach out. They had been, and I believe you got a call on this one. But I had a constituent who reached out who had been riding their bike down in Legacy Park, down by the gazebo. They were riding their bike through the water and they hit one of the huge potholes down there. And so I told them I was going to go walk down, and I looked down there and there's quite a bit of potholes and everything down there. It was sad to see that our American flag down there is pretty tattered up. And then the fact that the lights weren't working as well. So I wanted to bring that to attention, that we can get parks down there and possibly our streets to kind of start taking a look at some of those things. That standing water down there from the sprinklers covers up those potholes. So we have a serious potential issue down there that I think we need to be looking into. So
So on the flag, that obviously we'll get that taken care of. The lights, some of those lights down there, we have constituents that like to shoot them. A couple days later, they're shot. So what we're probably going to end up doing is taking those lights out and go solar. They're taller. It's got more of a broad stretch. Yeah, people like to vandalize in Mountain Home. And then the potholes, it's funny you bring that up. We had a discussion about that, or Miguel had a discussion that with Kane probably like 3 weeks ago. And so, yeah, those will be taken care of. I think they're gonna go put some full patch in it for right now. More. But the flag, that one, we do live in a tired Air Force community. So, and please, everybody, if you do see a flag, tell us, because I'll tell you this, we changed the flag over by the streets department. Within 2 weeks, that thing was beat to hell. So we want to make sure we respect that flag and just let us know if there's something torn or tattered. We will take care of it. You got to remember, we go through flags. Sue, how many? Like probably 4 or 5.
I feel like we're ordering those like every 2 or 3 months, and they're not cheap. Right. So
Just the city hall flag, to lower it, once it's lowered to half mast, it has to come off and be replaced because the building rips it apart.
Yeah.
And like, to me, I know a government building needs it, but the volume we're going through the flag and the location of the flag, which is what senior center suggested to you guys too, there's the same problem. And so we're just essentially, like, the flagpole needs to be moved, or it needs to be identified in another location, is my opinion, on some of our building locations due to the,
Police
What happens to
department
the
has
flag?
the same issue.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
so.
again, potholes will need to be fixed.
absolutely.
That's all I have.
Meeting adjourned. Yes.